Okay, hello everybody. We're going to work today on another video math tutorial. I haven't done one of these in video form in a while. I've done several written ones, but this is I think actually only the second time that I've done one of these and actually posted it on YouTube. But here we go. Today's topic is changing equations from the standard conic form into the standard circle form. So if you don't know what any of that means, here's the crash course. Conics are equations and lines that are drawn by those equations. They're shapes that you get when you take a geometric plane and you intersect it with a cone. And when those intersect, you draw a line on the intersection points, and what you're going to get is either going to be a circle, an ellipse, a parabola, or a hyperbola, and all those are called conics. And any conic can be put in, or any conic can be described by an equation in this form: ax squared plus by squared plus cx plus dy plus e is equal to 0. So the equation of a circle, any circle, can be put in this form. The equation of any ellipse can be put in this form, and so on for all the conics. So this is what is meant by standard conic form. The thing is, we also know that there is a form called standard circle form for any circle that's a lot more useful for graphing, for example. So in that case, that form is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared, where the center of the circle is going to be h comma k, and the radius is r. And so, how do we get from here to here? Circles can be written in both forms. That's what the video is on today. Getting the equation of a circle from this form into this much more useful form. Alright, so we're going to work through a couple examples. The first one that we're going to use is 100x squared. Let's go ahead and put a 1 here. 100x squared plus 100y squared minus 100x plus 240y minus 56 is equal to 0. So there's a couple steps to solving these. The first one actually is getting rid of the coefficients, or at least these coefficients, the ones on the x squared and the y squared. Notice that they're the same. I believe that if the equation is a circle, these will be the same, no matter what. So we can go ahead and divide both sides of the equation by 100. Obviously, 0 divided by 100 over here is just going to equal 0. And on the other side of the equation, you're going to end up with x squared plus y squared minus x, and then 240 divided by 100 is just plus 2.4y, and then minus 56 over 100, which is going to be 0.56. I just kind of switch back and forth between decimals and fractions as I feel it's the most convenient. Sorry if that's a little bit jarring to you or a little bit annoying, but I'm going to go ahead and add 56 over 100 to both sides to get the constant on the other side. So you have x squared plus y squared minus x plus 2.4y is equal to 56 over 100. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is we want to group the x's and the y's together. So basically we're just going to switch things around a bit over here. So you have x squared minus x plus y squared plus 2.4y is equal to 56 over 100. And the other thing that we can do, you don't actually have to do this, but it'll keep things much easier in your mind to understand. Put parentheses around them like this. So you have the x's in this set of parentheses and the y's in this set of parentheses. Okay, so once you've done that, the next step is you're going to complete the square for both of these binomials. So basically, if you don't remember how to do that, first of all, like if you don't know how to complete the square at all, I have a written tutorial on completing the square that I will link in the description below. I actually have written tutorials to all sorts of different ways to solve quadratic equations, but this is, the only one that's pertinent right now. So if you don't remember at all how to do completing the square, go ahead and look at that. But if you remember how to do it, you know that you have to add b over 2 squared to it to create a perfect square trinomial. So right now, let's just look at the x's here. Let's go ahead and block everything else out. To create a perfect square trinomial out of this, you add b over 2 squared. In this case, b is a -1. So you're going to have a -1 over 2 squared, which is the same thing as -1/2 squared, which is the same thing as 1/4. So we're going to add 1/4 to both sides, basically. We're going to add a 1/4 here, and add a 1/4 here. And what you end up with is x squared minus x plus 1/4 plus y squared plus 2.4y is equal to, and then let's find out what 56 over 100 plus 1/4 is. It is equal to 81 over 100. I just use my calculator for that to be a lot easier. And now we can take this perfect square trinomial and make it into a binomial squared. The way we do that is we know that a perfect square trinomial is going to be equal to x plus b over 2 squared. So in this case, b over 2 is a -1/2, so it's going to be equal to x minus 1/2 squared. So we can go ahead and just rewrite that binomial like this. So it's x minus 1/2 squared plus y squared plus 2.4y is equal to 81 over 100. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to complete the square, but this time with this binomial. So again, we're going to take I'm going to take b over 2 squared, which is going to be, wow, I've written a lot on this paper already, which is going to be 2.4 over 2 squared, which is equal to 1.2 squared, which is equal to 1.44. So we're going to add 1.44 to both sides. We're going to add it here, and we're going to add it here, and we're going to get x minus 1/2 squared, just like before, plus y squared plus 2.4y plus 1.44 is equal to, and again, I'm going to use my calculator to figure that one out, 1.44 plus 81 over 100 is equal to 2.25. And again, we're going to use the x plus b over 2 squared thing to change this perfect square trinomial into a square of a square of a binomial. So it's going to be x plus, y plus b over 2, which is 2.4 over 2, which is 1.2. So you have y plus 1.2 squared, and then we just bring everything else down. So you have x minus 1/2 squared plus y plus 1.2 squared equals 2.25. And wouldn't you know, that is in the standard form for the equation of a circle. And from this equation, we can find that the center is equal to 1/2 comma, it'll be -1 and 1/5, I think. Yeah, -1 and 1/5. So that's the center of this circle. And the radius of the circle is going to be the square root of 2.25, which is 1.5. So there's the standard equation of the circle. There is the information you can glean from it. So hopefully that made sense to you. If that doesn't, don't worry. I'm going to do one more example, and hopefully it'll make a little bit more sense then. If it made perfect sense to you, and you had no problems doing that one, then I would actually recommend that you try to do this equation before watching me do it. So the second equation is going to be 4x squared plus 4y squared minus 16x minus 24y plus 51 equals 0. So again, if you understood how to do this, you did fine on the other one, then I would recommend you trying to do this one on your own. Just pause the video, and then when you're done, you can press play and you can watch me work through it and see if you got the right answer. On the other hand, so here we go. Sorry, not on the other hand. Whatever. Here we go. So the first step is to get rid of these coefficients. So we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 4, and you end up with x squared plus y squared minus 4x minus 6y plus 51 over 4 is equal to 0. And the second step is moving everything around. So we'll move the x's together, we'll move the y's together, and we will subtract 51 over 4 from both sides. So what you end up with is x squared minus 4x plus y squared minus 6y is equal to a negative 51 over 4. Just subtract 51/4 from both sides. And so now we can put parentheses around them to group them together, and let's work on completing the square. So, starting out with the x's, b in this case is a negative 4, so b over 2 squared is a negative 4 over 2 squared, which is negative 2 squared, which is 4. So we're going to add 4 to both sides of this equation. And what you end up with is x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 6y is equal to, and we'll find out what a negative 51 over 4 plus 4 is. It is a negative 35 over 4. Right, and now we do the same thing with the y's. So in this case, that'll be a negative 6 over 2 squared, which is the same thing as negative 3 squared, which is the same thing as 9. So we're going to go ahead and add 9 to both sides of the equation. And so what we end up with is x squared minus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 6y plus 9 is equal to, let's find out what negative 35 over 4 plus 9 is. It is 1/4. Alright, now the final step is turning these perfect square trinomials into a square of a binomial. So that'll be x plus b over 2. In this case, b is negative 4, so it's going to be x plus negative 4 over 2, which is negative 2. So it'll actually be x minus 2 squared. And then on the flip side over here, it'll be y plus b over 2. B over 2 is negative 6 over 2 is a negative 3. So it'll be y minus 3 squared. And just on a tangent, if you are skeptical about that, you can go ahead and FOIL this out. Do y minus 3 times y minus 3, and you will find that it equals this. So just a little side tangent there, but that equals 1/4. And again, now we are in the standard form of a circle. We can find that the center of the circle is 2, 3, and the radius is the square root of 1/4, which is 1/2. So we have solved the problem. So now, once you've done that problem, I would say I have one more problem that I'm not going to solve on here, but the answer will be in the description, and I recommend you do it yourself. It is 3x squared plus 3y squared minus 12x plus 18y minus 36 is equal to 0. So again, try this one on your own. The answer will be in the description. If you don't get the answer right, I would recommend going back to one of the problems that I did in the video and going step by step, comparing and seeing if you made a mistake. Also double check all of your basic math stuff, so adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. If you did anything wrong there, you know, that might be the reason why. On the flip side, if you get it right the first time, then good job. You've learned how to do this type of problem, and you'll be able to do it on the test next time. I would recommend, of course, that you try and practice a lot. You know, Google extra practice problems so you don't forget how to do it. Because if you don't do it ever, then you're going to forget. But if you're constantly doing it, then you're never going to forget. So that's all. Hopefully this was helpful to y'all. I really hope that this helps y'all learn what you need to do. So